Anime Death Spiral, you know what it is. Anime Death Spiral. This is the only anime podcast that knows what shadows lurk in the hearts of men. And you know what? We are talking about everything anime. Is that correct, Nate?
That is correct, Remy.
So, I've noticed there's a lot of fear online about some upcoming anime shit that's all over the place. And obviously, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about one of the most important animes of our time, I think, Resident Evil. You're familiar with this series, correct?
Oh boy, am I familiar with Resident Evil.
Resident Evil is one of my favorite anime.
Oh, it's absolutely one of my favorite anime.
You know, a lot of people are talking about Resident Evil online. You know, everyone's talking about it. It's huge in the news. It's all over Twitter. So I thought to myself, like, I got to get into this. I want to see what's up with this whole new thing. So, you know, I went ahead and did it. I downloaded the thing. I got into it, and I want to talk about it because I'm really excited. Resident Evil Revelations.
Tell what is Revelations? I'm unfamiliar.
Revelations is the new thing that everybody is talking about right now. This is the story of Jill and Chris hanging out on a steamliner and having fun with quote-unquote zombies.
Oh, I thought that was called like Dead Island or something.
No, Dead Island is very famously on an island, my man. As a Resident Evil potential completist, I was really excited to get into this great Resident Evil franchise entry that everybody else is excited about. I was excited about it. I was really pleasantly surprised to discover that everything I love about Resident Evil is really nicely encapsulated in this game. Just stupid as fuck dialogue that you'd expect from any Resident Evil game. Just absolutely the most cringeworthy, awful writing. It's got really annoying gameplay elements that are truly completely unnecessary. Really overly extra parts, adds no value to the game, but is confusing to the audience.
Wait.
Is this these particular parts?
Is this the one about like an underwater city and fish people?
There is a city, the city of the future. Now, this is funny. Basically, the Resident Evil version of Saudi Arabia's Neom. It's called Terra Grigia. But the FBC gets involved in the city of Terra Grigia, the floating city of the future. And as, you know, what any future city in a Resident Evil game is wont to do, it suffers from a BOW attack. Terra Grigia, now, as everything that happens in Resident Evil, is immediately memory hold. So if you've played any of the other Resident Evil games, you've never heard of this place, and you never will. Terra Grigia gets fucking, like, hand of godded by the solar nuke system floating above the Earth. Also memory hold, you'll never hear about that in another Resident Evil game, even though it's clearly the best possible solution to any BOW outbreak, excuse me. So the city of the future gets immediately nuked by this solar cannon, basically, under the FBC's watch. Mm-hmm. We cut to another memory hold thing. Clive O'Brien, the head of the BSAA, who is essentially Columbo. He's just Columbo.
Right.
But he's,
Does he say, one more thing? Hey, one more thing before I go.
No, but he does mumble. I mean, he really does the Columbo mumble thing.
Does he have the big jacket?
He has the big jacket, yes. He has the crumpled look of the big jacket. Anyway, this is a really interesting Resident Evil game because, like I said, you're playing as Jill and Parker, and a series of duos, actually, even though this game, despite like pivoting to a co-op framework for, like, you know, 5 and 6, and apparently Rev 2, which I haven't played. This game is all duos, no co-op. Baffling. Because we're working with, check this out, Jill and Parker. We're hanging out with Chris and Jessica. And we're hanging out with new to the series BSA agents Quint.
Wait, hold on. The ocean themed Resident Evil game has a character named Quint.
It does. Sorry, Quint Ketchum and Keith Lumley. Excuse me.
What?
Yes.
Quint Ketchum.
Quint Ketchum and Keith Lumley, and they go by the code names Breaker and Jackass. I think his name's Breaker, but whatever. And Quint is the guy in the horror movie who constantly makes references to other horror movies. That's the what, basically the last 15 years of horror movies?
20. I don't know, when did Scream come out?
96, baby.
There you go.
Besides the very weirdly uncanny Columbo appearance, there also is a character named Raymond Vester. Terrible name. Who is just Crispin Glover. He's tall, he's lanky, he's very skinny, incredibly angular features. He's always furrowing his brow. He's kind of has like the stuttering speech pattern thing. He's kind of a sad sack.
Well, you see, what's throwing me off, what I think really defeats your comparison here, is that he has a very confident stature. You know, he's taken a strut forward. He has his hand on his hip. You know, he's got a chest strap with a holster and a gun, and he's wearing a bulletproof vest. Yeah. He's confident. What he's lacking is Crispin Glover's signature Max Shrek-like hunch over. Like a predator trying to corner its prey.
Yeah. It's true. He's less like that in motion. You know, he has a little bit more of the Crispin Glover slump in motion. But you know, when they take these publicity photos of the characters, they're always slaying. They gotta slay.
Sure. You know, they're putting on their best, putting their best foot forward.
Yeah, you see Leon in those posters, and he's just fucking posing up a storm. You know it. He's going for it.
Oh, I don't think I see Leon as much as Leon sees Leon, if you know what I mean.
I don't. But moving on from Crispin Glover, this game is very, very strange because we had spent basically since 3 moving steadily away from the Resi 1 and Resi 2 formula. You know what I'm talking about. We lose sort of the explorable backtracking environments. We lose sort of the much slower paced combat and running out of ammo, running out of inventory space. All that kind of stuff kind of slowly gets sidelined as the series goes on. But it all comes back for this game. You're in a big ship, you're exploring it, you're unlocking keys that allow you different access to different levels of the ship. You have to balance your guns, you have to balance your ammo because it's all scarce and you can only hold so much. There is a new mechanic where you like almost kind of Metroid Prime-y, you like scan enemies. Though the only benefit you get is if you scan enough of them, you get a green herb.
Well, you know, 2012 scanning enemies and like doing the detective vision thing, that was all the rage, and it's been cemented in modern game design basically since then.
Was there a lot of that back then? I'm failing to come up with I agree with you. I'm trying to come up with another example where you scanned enemies.
Witcher 2, baby.
Oh, shit. Wow. That game really slipped out of my memory.
You know, it gets overlooked quite a bit by the one good title in the series.
Yeah, the first one.
Heyo!
We'll get. Hey, no, some other day we can really get into that, but I am not joking. Anyway, this is such a strange throwback, especially in my like I said, completist brain damage, that I kind of thought about like going back and playing 1 just to be like, wait, this is what Resident Evil was, right? Like,
I mean, 1 is rough. If I can make a suggestion, I would do the GameCube remake of 1. Do you remember that one? Did
I never
you play
played
that?
the GameCube remake of 1.
It was good. It was a very faithful remake, just
Yeah.
with updated graphics. You know, they kind of did the same thing they did with Metal Gear Solid, you know, where they did a remake of the first one to simultaneous release with a current entry into the franchise. So they did the remake of Resi 1 for GameCube either shortly before or shortly after the release of 4, which was like the big one. I assume you're playing Revelations because of the impending release of the 4 remake, which is a Resident Evil game that people actually care about.
Well, I mean, now that you mention it, yes, I do think I have heard something about this almost 20-year-old game getting another one of these tired remakes. If people don't remember, Resident Evil 4 was a GameCube Resident Evil release. It is notable for being one of the only GameCube games where you could murder old ladies and children. I think that's mostly what people remember it for. And this is what made it your favorite game, right? I think that's what you mentioned to me. This is kind of cemented it into your pantheon of games, was killing people's grandmas, right?
Yeah, no, I think you remembered that one correctly.
Just absolutely eviscerating babushkas with a fucking assault weapons and shit, right? I mean, I think that's what everybody kind of remembers from that game.
Absolutely. You know, what more could a 14-year-old want?
Exactly. And so for whatever perverted reason, they've decided that that's something we need in this exact moment of time. So yeah, they're remaking this game, huh?
Yeah, if you haven't heard, it's kind of the popular one. I think it's a bit of an underrated title, if I can throw that term around. Okay, all right.
Gotta disagree.
I've reached my limit. Can we drop the irony veil?
What irony. You like this one more than the other ones for some reason. That's true. That is not ironic.
No, that is not ironic. I think that is also not a controversial opinion. I think that it's the popular belief that Resident Evil as a franchise went downhill as it attained more anime-like qualities post the release of Resident Evil 4.
Why don't you tell us what you liked about Resi 4, and then tell us why you think anyone should care about this remake? How about that?
I mean, okay, what did I like about Resi 4?
Yeah, what was good about that game?
If I'm talking from the perspective of the me who played it for the first time, teenage
Yeah,
me,
that might be good. From your perspective.
I liked that it was it had kung fu kicks, which is cool.
That is cool.
It had exploding headshots. You know, you get a scanner's explosion every time you pop a good one, baby.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, taking Magnum straight to Abuela.
It had sweet one-liners.
Oh, very sweet. The sweetest.
It had intrigue and sexiness. I would venture to say that it is probably the sexiest Resident Evil.
Oh, you haven't played Revelations, baby.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You got to see Jessica's wetsuit at some point. I'll just leave it there.
And it had a ruthlessly addictive gameplay loop, especially in the Mercenaries mode. I know you played a bunch of that too. Like that was good dopamine delivery.
Sure.
It had numbers that went up. It had levels. It had rewards. It had secret rewards,
Definitely.
which, as we all know, are the best kind.
Oh, hidden rewards? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Collecting gems for some reason to trade for secret items and weaponry. I mean, that is just pure dopamine.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I liked it, because it was designed on a committee level for someone like me to like it.
I liked it because I was 15 years old and it had a lot of violence.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's good shit. But now I am not 15 years old. Why should I give a shit that they're making this game again? especially in this time where we're getting all these fucking we are post Dead Space remake, a almost, I would say, objectively inferior release of that game, and it's not alone. I would have to pull up the list, but it is in bad company. So what the fuck? What are they doing here?
I don't know. It's an interesting take because I think that it made sense to do the remakes of the PlayStation 1 titles, 2 and 3. I think that those games were notably suited to being remade because they have the janky camera system.
Yep.
They have the dated graphics.
Oh, yeah.
They have the bad voice acting.
Yep.
And all of that stuff is stuff that has been improved immeasurably in every subsequent Resident Evil title.
Hard to
and I
argue
will
with that.
say that even for the bad ones, 5 and 6.
Yes.
If anything, they did have better graphics and better voice acting than previous titles. I'm
Yes,
not
also-
commenting on the writing.
Well, yeah. Also, notably, like, pretty hard to play on modern systems. Like, you can't just really go get the original 2 and 3 and just sit down and play them right now.
No, you can't. You have to either, have a legally obtained ROM.
Which everyone has.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody rips their own PS1 and PS2 games, right?
I did. That's absolutely how I got all of my ROMs, because I owned all of the games and I ripped them onto my computer myself.
I also ripped all of my games legally. But this is not true for Resident Evil 4 in any way. How many releases have you personally bought of Resident Evil 4?
Oh no! You're making me
Expose yourself.
You're making me expose myself.
Expose yourself.
I bought the special edition on PS2 when that was originally released when I was in high school. I never had a GameCube, so that was the version that I got to play first. And then I bought a Steam version, and then I bought the HD Steam version, and then I bought a PS4 HD release, so I could play it on my PlayStation in the living room.
Of course.
I think that's it. I think that's all of my copies.
You
Yeah.
only bought this game 4 times?
I know.
Wow.
I'm a lightweight, really, when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly you could have bought the deluxe version on Steam as well.
I could have done that.
Yeah, and if you had a PS5, there is also a PS5 version, which I think is identical to the PS4 version, but you can buy it again. All I can say is it's hitting like Skyrim territory.
Mm-hmm. Well, these are all funding these new releases, right? These other remakes.
I guess so.
And also 7 and 8.
You don't think they're still banking on all that Resi 6 money?
Having just recently played Resi 6 for the first time, I would say no. That's probably...
Probably not.
Yeah, I would say they're probably losing money via lawsuits somewhere.
I would personally be spending a lot of money to bury that game, but that's just me. Buying up the copies and burying them, literally.
Well, I think the biggest loss to the franchise is that we're never going to figure out what happens to Wesker's son. I mean, I can only hope that they wrap up that thread of the multiple Resident Evil plot lines that are just kind of floating out there. I really need to know what happened to Jacob.
I would really like to know who Leon's best friend is now that the president is dead. I mean, that's an open spot.
That is probably the most pressing question in the series.
We know it's not Chris.
It's definitely not Chris. They don't really like each other.
They don't like each other very much. They have a weird vibe together. That's all I gotta say.
Well, you see, they have a national election every 4 years to see who's going to be Leon's best friend.
Yeah. Whose daughter he has to rescue next. So they're making this remake. People are already pissed off, obviously, as they would obviously be. They're selling costume packs for Ashley already, and everyone's complaining because she's not sexy anymore. She's actually just cringe. Not based, just cringe. I will be spending the money to buy these things, even though I'm pretty sure I'll hate them. I must seriously be deranged.
I definitely think that you shouldn't be spending money on that.
You don't think I should buy the emo teen Ashley costume?
Oh, wait. Hold up. What?
Oh, you haven't seen? Okay, so maybe I shouldn't have brought these up.
Maybe I spoke too soon.
Yeah,
I guess don't tempt the devil.
yeah. This could have been a nice surprise for you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spoil that. There was an emo teen costume for Ashley. Very authentic. I will add, like some serious 2005 Hot Topic vibes.
Okay. Hey, how about we take a break so I can catch up on these costume releases?
Okay, all right.
When we get back, we can talk about some anime.
Sure, that's fine. Enough about my favorite anime, Resident Evil. I guess we'll have more to say about Resi 4 remake, I assume, when it comes out. We'll come back. We'll revisit this costume thing when we have our hands on it. How about that?
It'll most likely leach into the conversation, I'm betting.
I'm sure it'll be hard to not bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a break.
All right.
Wow, Nate, I think it's time to move on to maybe some anime. What do you think?
I would like that, seeing as it's the premise of the show.
Yeah, so I've been reading a lot of anime, as usual. I've been thinking about trying to kind of round my personal library out a little bit. You know, I want to be reading contemporary stuff. I have my pull box of things that are going on right now, but I also want to be going back to the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s. Get my personal canon in order. You know what I mean?
Well, you have to have like your personal list ready to go to like flip out when people put you on the spot, right?
Yeah. If you get called out on the street and they demand your top 10, it can't all be like mid 2000s shit. You have to throw in something like a early Lupin or something from Osamu Tezuka or something like that for a little bit of street cred.
If someone asks what's your favorite Ghibli film, you say The Castle of Cagliostro. Oh, wait.
Yeah, or Grave of the Fireflies, because then you sound like a really cool dude. You're so cool for watching that. And I'm really cool because I went back and I read an absolute stone-cold horror manga classic, The Drifting Classroom by Umezu Kazuo. Have you ever heard of this?
I have. I thought maybe he did an adaptation. I thought that was a Junji Ito comic.
It is not a Junji Ito comic.
Oh, wait, hold on. What did you say the title was?
The Drifting Classroom.
Okay, he must have done a play on that in one of his, because he has a story called The Dissolving Classroom.
Oh, absolutely would have been a reference to this.
Yeah, okay.
This is an absolute monumental achievement in the horror. As I understand it, I'm not a historian. You can never accuse me of being knowledgeable or smart at any of this shit. I'm dumb as shit. But I'm smart enough to read shit when people tell me it's good, and guess what? I fucking lucked out, because this one is fucking good. I mentioned... I had read some Kaneko Inuki last episode, and she's one of the ones who could not stop talking about this, so I was like, I gotta get in there. And it is fantastic. It's got that 80s look to it. If you could picture sort of the Astro Boy look, that kind of era of manga.
Sure.
Lots of rounded things. Children who actually look like children, as opposed to now where they're all 20-something children. This is a story about a classroom that just disappears one day and reappears in the middle of an endless desert with basically its entire class and staff in tow.
Okay.
And now it kind of feels like a setup, sort of like...
This sounds like the setup for a death game.
It does kind of sound like a death game. I was going to say it is very kind of Lord of the Flies-y setup, because almost immediately all the adults go insane and kill each other.
Yeah, I'm immediately getting like a man is the real monster kind of vibe.
Sort of, yeah. I would say it definitely has elements of that. these kids have to kind of at the beginning kind of band together to survive. They have to scrape together everything in their school, and start solving the mystery of what happened to them. And let me tell you, if you think you have any idea of where that story goes, you are 100% wrong. It goes in basically every single time you think you have a handle on this story, it goes in the opposite direction, which I love. That's one of my favorite things, when I just have no idea where we're going. As we're talking about crazy monsters, we're talking about impossible physics, we're talking about time travel, we're talking about psychics, we're talking about all the absolutely amazing, insane shit you would expect from like a horror manga from the 80s. The Drifting Classroom ran from 1972 to 1974, dummy. Except weirder and less predictable. The art is absolutely fantastic. Again, you can see the influences being poured into Kaneko Inuki's work. She's like really riffing on this shit very hard. Lots of children who are like aghast, mouth open, sweating profusely at like everything. They're constantly exclaiming out loud about crazy shit they're seeing. It's all the good shit. There's absolutely deranged people on every page. It's just truly fantastic. This thing is only like 42 chapters too, so this is relatively short. You can work through it, in a day or two if you really like it and get into it.
That's being a reasonable length, that's always a good selling point.
Yeah. This is obviously foundational to the horror manga at large. I'm not a historian and I am not the most well-rounded reader, but I've read a fair amount of horror manga, and it's not just Junji Ito out here, man. There's a lot of other people doing the shit.
That sounds pretty sweet. As you know, I am adverse to any kind of like classroom trauma stories, since a DVD copy of Battle Royale broke my laptop when I was in high school. So I've been playing it super safe ever since then, and just staying away from the genre in general, but I might give this one a try.
Okay, well, what if I told you these are junior high schoolers, not high schoolers?
Oh, well, that makes it even better.
Yeah, that's better, right? 6th grade down. No high schoolers.
All right, well, yeah, screw them.
Yeah, I like to keep it positive on the show, at least as positive as I could be. But I did also want to talk and kind of extend our section from the last episode about shame.
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's not the only thing I read recently. And this is a problem that happens to me a lot because, as you know, I've probably mentioned too many times at this point, I am a fairly prolific manga reader. So I get around. And I end up reading a lot of shit that I like despite pretty bad things.
It happens to all of us, but I want to step in real quick and just let you know, and the listener, our dear friend, know that this is a safe space. There's no judgment here. It's not about shame. I just want you to be able to get it off your chest.
Sure, we're gonna kind of step into the confessional. Look, I have particular beliefs about art, and a piece of art is just a piece of art. It can have complications. I think we should be adult enough to deal with those complications. That being said, I did catch up on Made in Abyss recently, and the complications make it pretty hard to make it through. I gotta be honest. If you're not familiar with Made in Abyss, this is a manga about little kids pissing themselves. And not in a goofy way like another manga series I'm reading about a girl who pisses herself. Yes, there's more than one. This is one where the pissing themselves is taken very seriously. There's no goofs involved in the little kids pissing themselves in this manga. It makes me very uncomfortable every time it happens, and it really doesn't let up. It's like chapter 1 on. It kind of just keeps happening. There's other things too. There's like a fantasy world that they're diving through this fantasy hole, and there's all these fantasy monsters, and they're going on a big epic adventure to find a little girl's mother who's lost in a fantasy land. You know the whole thing. But primarily it's about bodily functions of 10 to 13-year-olds. There is nothing metaphorical about kids climbing into a big hole. Don't even start. It's not that deep. The hole is deep, but don't think about it too much. You cannot read manga metaphorically. You cannot read in a narrative mode. You have to take everything literally, or you will go insane.
So then, why do you feel bad about reading this?
Okay, so here's my thing about Made in Abyss. It is beautiful.
You're a fan of the art.
The art is almost every page has something that is just absolutely stunning. The art is fantastic. I mean, the level of detail put into everything in this like creepy, freaky world is great. The amount of imagination on display is fantastic. The artist slash writer has incredible narrative instincts. Like, we've talked and we'll continue to talk about the problems that kind of hound serialized narrative. But somebody who has the ability to continually surprise and intrigue you even after, what did we get to? Maybe 60, 70 issues or something. And it still feels fresh and interesting, and there's still things that are happening and catching you off guard, is pretty special. Most books really don't do that. And this one does it all the time. There are choices here that are just absolutely staggering. And I honestly I'm totally hooked. The weird bodily function shit is very off-putting, but apparently not off-putting enough to kick me out of this series. And so I feel weird being into it. I really do. But like, it has so many good things working for it. I can't drop it. I can't.
Bold words from Creepy Pervert.
Well, it's one of those things. It falls into that thing where it's like, I mean, this is not an uncommon occurrence where you absolutely cannot recommend something to people. In fact, you'd rather them not know that you're even engaging with it at all. So I'm very brave. I'm a very brave boy to tell you my secret shames like this. And I can't even after all those admissions, I can't recommend it because that shit is probably very off-putting.
The description you gave me just now with minimal details is incredibly off-putting.
It is very off-putting. I just personally, like, when somebody runs across like the first instance of the stuff, they would immediately change their opinion of me. I know that. I'm well aware, and I'm not even saying that's unjustified. Like, that's the problem. But personally, I just can't. I think it has so many great things in it, and there's lots of series like this. I mean, we were talking about it. You had some too. Like, what were you reading that made you feel funny inside?
Okay, first of all, I want to be clear that none of the stuff that I've been reading recently has any value, objectively. It is...
Oh, wow.
It's all just trash.
It's just trash. Okay.
Yes, but I did it under the guise of important research. That's the important part.
Okay, so this isn't stuff you actually like. This is just research material.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Sure. Okay. All right. That's fair.
That's the veil I'm going to use for this conversation.
Okay, that's fine. So, like, what? What are we talking?
So, I've noticed that there is a trend in the current catalog of romantic comedy manga of a theme, an overall theme of what I'm calling the introvert senpai with the extrovert kohai.
Absolutely.
Right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, and in fact, that particular genre has many subgenres, some of which have their own subgenres.
Lots and lots and lots.
Yeah.
But I think it's a recent development where it has become a main genre in itself instead of just a flavor of other subgenre, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the ones that have caught my attention and seem to be the most popular. So, I mean, just going down a list here of what I wrote down. We
A
have
whole list.
Yeah, there's a list.
There's a list.
And it's longer than what I've written down here in the notes.
Wow.
Lay
it on
we
me.
have Sono Bisque Doll, or the English translation is sometimes referred to as My Dress Up Darling.
All right, give me the briefest summary and then why it's creepy.
Okay, awkward college guy who's into making dolls falls for what do you call him? Like delinquent girl, right? Who's into cosplay. That's the basic premise. He likes making costumes for dolls. She likes cosplay, and they bond over this shared interest in costuming.
Okay.
That is the most sanitized premise.
Sounds cute.
You know, it sounds cute. You can imagine how there's lots of opportunity for comedic misunderstanding of to use a word that you use daily, of a lewd nature.
Oh, God. I hate that word so much. How does that manifest in Sono Bisque Doll?
Well, you know, the obvious ones you would think of happen, like he has to take her measurements for a costume that she wants him to make.
Oh, no.
But he can't get proper measurements if she has all of her clothes on. You can imagine how that goes down.
Uh-oh. Oh, God. And he acts like a normal person in that scenario, right?
Oh, no, he is a simpering mess.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, he breaks down all of his base motor functions, cease to work at, like, initially basically being in the same room as this cute girl who is very obviously telegraphing her interest in him as a person.
Uh-oh.
Because that is kind of one of the hard rules to all of these, is that the female lead has an aggressive romantic pursuit of just like the most awkward, unlikable, weird dude.
Sure. Now we're getting into the details of the genus of this particular style of manga.
I mean, you know, if we're putting it in a family going one level above, it would be like, you know, a subset of male power fantasy,
Right,
obviously.
right. Which is very ironic, right? Because, like, the male in these stories' only personality trait tends to be, like, constant flop sweat.
Yeah, his only personality traits are he cannot function around women, usually, like, just people in general, but especially around women. And he has an intent obsession with some kind of, like, granular hobby. Right. So in the case of Sono Bisque Doll, his family makes traditional Japanese figurines,
right?
Like doll figurines, Hana dolls, I think they're called.
Right. I mean, I don't know, but sure.
And he grew up apprentice to his grandfather, who would sew tiny clothes. And when he was like 6, a girl made fun of him for it because he was like into dolls.
Devastating.
And she's like, "You're a guy. You can't be into dolls. You're weird." And he was like, "That's okay. I guess I just won't tell anybody ever again about this interest."
He took it on faith. He just believed her completely. He was like, "Yeah, that she was correct."
Oh, you've read it.
No. Moving on. You have a couple other examples, right? Right.
Yes. So that's the bare basics on that series. You know, he's a weird dude. He makes doll clothes. He bonds with this delinquent girl who likes to cosplay.
This attractive, outgoing girl who doesn't ever
Yes.
actually have any specific reason she would be into him, but it's for whatever reason, convenience brings them together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Moving down the list, we have Ijira Naide Nagatoro-san, or Please Don't Bully Me Nagatoro.
The currently infamous Nagatoro-san.
Yes, that one kind of is the I don't know. Is there a term in evolutionary science for when an animal displays extreme versions of an adaptation beyond the need for the original purpose? Something superfluous in how extravagant it leans into its tropes.
Yeah, damn, I wish we were smarter, because that would be a really great poll.
This one is, again, about a shy, nerdy high school student who's really into art, obsessively so, one might say. Isn't confident talking to other people, doesn't really have friends, especially not confident talking to women, cannot function, has the flop sweat,
Right.
Loses motor function.
Yeah.
And for some reason that I'm not sure that they've still gone into super detail on, he catches the attention of a outgoing, energetic younger classman who has an aggressive romantic interest in him for reasons.
For some reason.
And so her thing is that she's just really into making fun of him, to the point that it quite obviously seems fetishistic at points.
Sonobisky doll actually has the same thing, right? Where there's to plumb the depths of gender comedy, we have a sort of gender swapped version of this, right? In Sonobisky doll, she's like really into anime porn, and like that's one of her only characteristics. And in
yes,
Nagatoro-san,
yeah, that's one of her things, is that she's into arrow, romance games.
Yeah. And in Nagatoro-san, she's basically the elementary school kid who pulls the girl's pigtails that he likes, right? I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, no, that's, if he's bullying you, that means that he likes you. But, oh, it's a girl this time. It's a girl this time, people.
It's a girl this time. Isn't that funny?
It is funny. It's hilarious, even.
Oh my god. And you know what? I'm seeing you put Tomo-chan on this list, and that is basically that thing, and is the explicit premise of that show. Is a girl is like a guy.
So that one, it tries to do a flip on the whole thing, where it is, again, an energetic, outgoing female lead aggressively pursuing a male lead. But this time, he's not like a total social inept, loses all of his faculties at talking to a woman. He's actually like kind of a regular dude. He's just kind of like thick, and he doesn't pick up on stuff.
Right, and he's basically a complete no one nothing, right? I mean, he's basically like an outline of a human being.
His main personality trait is that he's really into karate.
Great. Cool.
Yes. And that he's known Tomo-chan since they were little kids, and he didn't realize that she was a girl until they were in middle school.
Now, how?
Because,
How is that possible?
she, as a character, she's just very into wearing gender-neutral or male clothing. She's the colloquial tomboy type.
She doesn't use pronouns at all? No one ever used a pronoun around him ever, even one time.
Well, see, that's a quirk of the Japanese language. I don't speak Japanese. I know very little about it.
Right.
But there are plenty of ways to refer to oneself gender neutrally in Japanese. So it's one of those things that is totally possible to not come up for little kids.
I guess I'll put aside my incredulity for 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
You actually read this one, or watched this one?
I watched a few episodes of that one, and I read a few of the chapters. This one was actually, I was interested to find, and this doesn't really play much on any discussion in the genre overall, but I was interested to find out that Tomo-chan is a Girl, the manga, is probably the most different in adaptation to its anime, because it is literally like, first of all of these, I'm pretty sure, started off as webcomics.
Okay.
Which is an interesting point. And so many of them started off as like single panel or like 4-panel single page gag strips, which is what Tomo-chan as a Girl still is.
Yeah, not uncommon these days. Meruka-chan, like I mentioned last time, also started as a 4-page Twitter post.
Yes. And so this is in the same vein. It's like, a 4-panel setup where it's just basically single gags, and they have to like string these basically into a narrative for each episode.
Right.
From what I can tell, I only watched the first 2 episodes of the anime, and I read the first 25 or so single like page strips.
Okay. All right.
It may develop into an actual narrative further down. I am unclear on that one, but the way that the chapters were divided in the app I used to read all of this stuff, everything was a single page, and there was like 900 chapters.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's because it's calling each strip like its own chapter.
Okay.
So there's like 900 strips.
That's still a lot.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that one because it is definitely lower on the questionable content scale compared to the other 2. I would even describe it as downright innocent at times.
Wow.
Of course, until you get to the many jokes about her having cleavage when he forgets that she's a girl.
Right, because they have to immediately remind the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't have the audience forgetting.
Yeah, you wouldn't want that. Okay, and you're going to continue with that one?
I might. I mean, the concept is interesting just compared to everything else that I've written down here, because it seems to be intentionally being like a subversion of it. It's like, okay,
sure,
he's not a loser this time. He's a regular dude. He just like doesn't really get that she's into him, and that frustrates her.
Can we get a weather forecast on like her coming out as trans at some point?
I would say if it's gonna happen, then it should have happened at the 400-page mark. If it doesn't happen by then they've wasted their time.
It's a really, really late in the game twist. Okay, all right. I would have been more interested if that had happened, but whatever.
The last one that I had written down in this kind of subgenre list here was Uzaki-chan wa asobitai, or Uzaki-chan wants to hang out.
Right.
Which is kind of like the punished version of Tomo-chan, where it's doing the same thing of, all right, the guy in this one isn't a loser. He's like a regular dude, but she's not like a tomboy or playing with any kind of gender stereotypes. She's just kind of like a girl who's aggressively into him, just like a regular girl.
Sure. And it's funny because like girls aren't supposed to be like sexually aggressive.
It's that is definitely a big aspect of it. The other funny part is that you see she has giant breasts.
Oh, she's got a huge rack.
Yes.
And that's like really funny.
That's I would say about 95% of the humor.
And all the jokes are because she has giant tits?
Yeah, most of them, yeah. And that also he finds it annoying that like she doesn't let him have alone time. Like his whole thing is that he's like, he was a jock in high school and they used to hang out, and then he went to college and got just like really into being by himself. And he stopped going to swim meets. He was a swim guy.
He like went to college and got really depressed.
He didn't get depressed. No, he just like kind of stopped being as interested in sports.
Yeah, that's depression.
Like he does not have a personality.
Suddenly giving up all your interests and wanting to be alone all the time, not depression.
No,
totally not.
I misrepresented it. It's not that he wanted to be alone all the time. It's just that he went to college and stopped being on the high school swim team and didn't join the college swim team.
Okay.
And so he just like he got less interested in his hobbies. and got more into playing video games, even though he has like a job and he doesn't let it affect his studies.
Man, I don't know. That's still sounds like depression. Getting really into
Maybe.
video games, dropping all your responsibilities.
Oh, I forgot one other aspect of his character that much of the comedy is derived from, is that allegedly he has intimidating eyes. Like, that's his thing.
You know, that is not an uncommon thing, too. I think, if this was like the mid-2000s, we would call this resting bitch face.
Yeah, he definitely has resting bitch face.
Yeah.
And much of the comedy is derived from people thinking that he looks like a Yakuza dude or like a punk.
Right.
Because he looks angry all the time. But then when you talk to him, he's like super polite.
Right. And this is, you know what? This is actually the premise for like 3 or 4 other comics that aren't breast related that I've read. So kind of aping that straight out of some other stuff. But can you give me like one example of like what a joke about giant tits is? Like what part of it is funny? Like even one.
Well, hold on. Do we want to get into what is funny?
No, just give me.
Do you want me to tell you what they're posing as funny, or do you want me to tell you if anything actually landed as a joke?
It doesn't need to land. Can you just give me an example of like one of the gags that revolves around her having giant tits? I'm curious. It's hard for me to picture it.
One of the gags is she bugged him into going on a day out with her on a weekend instead of staying in his house to play a video game he wanted to play, right?
Okay.
As you do. And so she's like, all right, we'll go anywhere you want to go. He's like, all right, well, I want to go to the rock climbing gym because I haven't been working out recently and I want to get back into it.
Okay.
And the joke ends up being that it is difficult for her to climb at the rock climbing gym because she has large breasts.
And what is funny about that?
You tell me. I'm just telling you what they posed as funny.
Isn't that just a thing that happens to large-breasted women? Isn't that just kind of an annoyance of having large breasts?
Yes, but you see, as a male reader, the humor is derived from you being unable to relate to that.
Do the large breasts interact with the climbing wall in like a funny way?
Yes, she is unable to reach one of the climbing grips because her chest gets in the way, preventing her from reaching far enough.
Wow, really? It's just really virtuoso stuff here, like really cutting edge.
Again, this is all research.
Yeah. You know what?
I'm trying to understand this this kind of subgenre more completely.
Absolutely. And maybe someday there'll be a good one, and it'll be like a great find. It'll be a diamond in the rough, right? And then all of this work will have paid off. That's the method, right?
Yeah, so, I guess the takeaway is that I don't feel bad about reading all of this stuff, but I would really feel bad for someone who was reading it for, like,
pleasure.
Legitimate reasons. Yeah, for pleasure, not for legitimate reasons like research.
Yeah, if you read something like Uzaki-chan as recreation...
like, you shouldn't do that. That's on you, and you should really feel bad about it.
Seek out professional help, like...
I know I said this was a safe space, but I'm going back on that. This is absolutely a place of judgment.
This is a safe place for us, not for you.
Yeah,
no. We are admitting our own faults, but like we're heavily judging you.
Yes, absolutely.
And you can assume that going forward from here, that is true. You're still our best friend, though. I don't want to make it. I don't want to alienate you. You're still our best friend. We love you. I'm so glad that you're hanging out with us. We have a real, actual connection to you. We're actually friends. And friends kind of rib each other a little bit, right? It's kind of a little bit of a light, playful ribbing. But
it's a bonding experience.
Yeah, you should probably seek help if you actually enjoy that shit. Hey, I'm just playing around with you, bro. I'm just playing around. Come on.
We got a lot of love for you, bro.
This is really draining, thinking about the the giant breasts is making me sad. Let's take another break, and then we'll come back, and I don't know, maybe we'll. Do you want to talk about anime?
Yeah, I think we should talk about some anime. Okay. That's probably good.
All right, let's take a break.
Welcome back to Anime Death Spiral. We were just talking about some stuff that made us feel bad for reading it. Remy, tell me what you're excited about coming up in the spring season.
Well, I'm really excited about reading some cartoons that are coming up in the spring 2023 season. Are you excited for the spring 2023 season, Nate?
I am woefully unprepared for the spring season. What's coming out? What should I be on the lookout for?
You are not excited. You have no interest because you're ignorant. You're an ignorant person. But that's okay.
It's true. My ignorance, I swim in it like a fish upstream.
But ignorance is no excuse of the law, but I am here to enlighten you. Because honestly, after a weirdly disappointing season, this last season, whose supposed highlights were going to be like that new Trigun show, which I honestly could not stand even 3 episodes of. I had to bail. I'm really sorry to my man's Vash, but that shit sucked. It was really bad.
Well, you see, I saw that they gave the character a million knives, and I was out.
Look, that's surface level shit. I hate it for completely other reasons, like way more legitimate reasons, but that is also not good. There was the other big thing was like that Nier Automata show, but when somebody told me it was basically the game, it was like, bro, part of the game is playing the game 5 or 6 times in a row. I'm so burnt out on that shit. So I skipped it. Maybe it's good. I don't know. You tell me, best friend. You tell me if it was good or not. But man, we are rebounding like crazy because this next season is fucking stacked. Check this shit out.
Okay, hey, actually, hold on. Can we make a little game out of this? You tell me what you're excited about in the season with a pitch. You pitch it to me, and I'll tell you whether I'd watch it or not.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get the ones I'm excited about then. Okay. So let me tell you. Do you like ninjas?
Oh, I love ninjas.
Okay. What about ninjas that can set themselves on fire, like on command?
Into it.
Pretty badass, right? Now, what do you think about like crazy islands covered with monsters?
I love them.
Okay, so what if those two things were like combined into a super slick, very smartly put together shonen package?
I'd say that's a hot ticket.
Yeah. Well, Jigo Kuraku Hell's Paradise is gonna kick ass. I mean, that should sell you on its own, but I will say that I have also read this entire thing probably twice. It's really good. Most shonen, after you read a lot of them, I think you can agree, like, even fans of the genre kind of know what you're getting into, but you will not see the shit coming in Hell's Paradise. It feels, despite sticking pretty close to the shonen genre tropes, it feels completely fresh. It is energized in a way that I haven't felt about a shonen in a really long time. It just fucking rules. And that starts April 1st. April 1st. We're so close.
You sure that's not a trick?
I could be. I mean, ninjas, they're always trying to get you. It's funny because now it's like Naruto's dead, and now Hell's Paradise rises from the ashes. This is great. I'm so stoked.
See, what I'm really hoping, this is actually, Hell's Paradise has been on my radar because you gave, a while ago, you gave me like a one-chapter challenge for a bunch of different titles, and this was one of them, and it made my list. I really liked the one chapter that I read, so I'm just about to go back in for more now that I've heard about the anime. And what I'm really hoping is to get, like, this to be the follow-up to Naruto. I want the way that Jujutsu Kaisen was the follow-up to Bleach that I wanted.
Yes. Oh, you know what? That is actually a really apt comparison, I think. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, for real.
Okay, cool.
And you know what? Now that you mentioned
I'm into it.
At some point, maybe we should give the audience a one-chapter challenge. I think that would be fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you guys would love that, I think.
People love homework.
Yeah, let's move on here. On April 8th, we're getting the Mashley anime. Now, What if I told you about a sort of kind of a Harry Potter magic school that like doesn't suck? There's no slavery or weird transphobia shit. It's just mostly like gags about like shonen magic duels.
I would say that that's called My Hero Academia.
Okay, well, what if I also told you that the Harry Potter in this world is the only person in the entire world who can't use magic?
Okay, yeah, sure. That's a good one.
All right,
I'd
all
watch
right.
one episode of that.
Sure, and hold on. What if I told you also that he is forced by the government to enroll and become the valedictorian of magic school, or they'll kill him?
I'd say they got some weird priorities
Yeah.
in that governing body.
A little strange. Yeah, it seems kind of ruthless to me for a gag manga. But okay, what? And here's the final piece. He is so physically fit, his physical prowess comes across as magic.
Muscle Wizard.
Muscle
I'm into
Wizard.
it. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay, you got me in with that last one.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Muscle wizardry. It's very cool. There's another one I've been reading. Okay, so that one's great. Let's move on. We've got a couple more here that I'm actually excited about, which is really surprising, like I said. Next one up, we have Osamu Ranking. Now, this is King's Rank. We had the first season a little while ago, and I absolutely adored it. I hadn't read this one. I had just watched it, and it like immediately captured my heart. I fucking love the shit out of it.
I saw this talked about. It won some awards from the Crunchyroll Anime Awards a couple weeks ago, but I don't really know anything about it. What's the pitch me?
Okay, so
Hit me, dog.
what if I told you that there was a series of kingdoms, and all the kings competed for the top ranking in the king's ranking list?
Okay, that sounds like Europe.
Okay, what if I also told you that the king of one particular country dies, and his only son, his eldest son, is the son of a giant, and is born deaf. And he's pretty unruly. He tends to run around on the grounds naked. He does whatever he wants. People have a really hard time dealing with him because it's sort of an old-timey, medieval-y setting, and medievally people aren't particularly good about deaf people. So they kind of leave him to his devices. He's a very wild prince. But his wild princeliness meets up with a sentient shadow who decides, after some hijinks, that he is going to make our wild deaf prince into the best king there has ever been.
Yeah, okay. I'd watch one episode of that.
Yeah, hijinks ensue. Also, it's one of the most gorgeous and unique art styles that is currently available in like currently running anime. Like, it looks like nothing else, and it is insanely beautiful.
Well, those are always pluses, you know.
Yeah.
Being unique is a talent in and of itself.
At a time where like anime is sort of converging animation-wise, it's for me at least, it's a huge selling point.
All right, what else you got?
Let's see. Okay, so talking about this kind of ties in with what we were just talking about, but Boku no Kokoro no Yabayatsu, The Dangers in My Heart. This is another one that I have been reading for quite a long time. This is basically what we were talking about. Outgoing girl gets involved with like shy boy. The twist here is that at the beginning of the series, the kid kind of he kind of dissociates from the rest of his class because he finds it hard to relate, and he starts expressing himself by like hyping himself up as like a serial killer. He's like, I'm gonna be the baddest dude. I mean, it's bad to say that's this way, but he kind of like thinks of himself as a potential school shooter until he meets this girl who like shows interest in him, and she basically completely destroys his sense of self, and it's done in an incredibly charming way. And one of the nice twists here is he's really short and she's really tall, which I just find, it's not even the most unique concept. There are other romantic comedies that are about short boy, tall girl. But I find it really charming here. And the way he develops feels he is.
You mentioned the tall girl short guy thing, and a million ears just perked up. They're not even listening to us right now. They sensed it.
The shockwave went out, and they're like, "Us,
Yeah.
us." I just felt tingly. It's great. I really like short guy, tall girl. I think it's a cool concept. I don't know. It's like candy for me. It's just cute. But this one I really like because unlike the ones we were talking about, we really get a lot of character building and internality with the boy. Like he doesn't just fill in a silhouette of the quote unquote boy. He has thoughts and feelings, and he develops as a character, and it's not just this like outgoing girl bouncing shit off of him so that we can feel like oh she's flirting with me, oh I could be that boy, she's flirting with me. No, he's like a real character, and she is too. She has lots of personality quirks, and they exist in a context that reacts to their decisions and isn't super insular. It's not like a world that has shrunk down to two people, which can happen a lot in romantic comedies.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, their progression isn't a straight line, and it deals a lot with the insecurities that comes with being a teenage boy who is falling in love for the first time. It like really kind of confronts those feelings in a way that I feel is emotionally honest, in a way that a lot of the other romantic comedies just completely fail to capture.
Just with murder. Like he wants to be a murderer.
Yeah, he thinks he's really dark and edgy.
Sure.
Yeah, and
well,
so
who didn't?
Yeah, and so his whole
who
thing
didn't
is,
in middle school?
Yeah, and he starts obsessing with the girl at first because he thinks that he wants to kill her. He thinks like, oh, I'm thinking about her all the time. It must be because like I want her to be my first victim. And then like they interact, and it just completely blows apart his sense of self in a really great way. I really like it. I really like the comic anyway. We'll see how the anime turns out.
All right, I'd watch an episode with the possibility of more.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of shows coming out, but let me just do two more really quick.
Sure.
Okay. So the next one is another comic that I've been following for quite a while. This one is really, really interesting. Another one where it really banks first and foremost on having a very unique and confident art style, at least in the comic. Can't say about the anime yet. This one is called Tengoku Daimakyo, Heavenly Delusion. And this one is about a boy who is seeking out his sister. And he's traveling with a girl who is, quote-unquote, his bodyguard. And while he's searching, and they're kind of traveling through this like semi-post-apocalyptic world that's filled with kind of unexplainable kaiju-ish things. They're not quite kaiju. They're kind of more psychedelic than that in a weird way.
Okay.
They're kind of traveling through this world and experiencing strange things as it happens. And while this is happening, we're also experiencing this kind of dual narrative about these very odd children who exist within this walled garden that they think is a school. But they're clearly being kind of studied and experimented on because they seem to be manifesting strange powers. And
sure,
we,
classic.
And in a really interesting way, we start noticing parallels in these stories, and they start kind of converging in interesting and strange ways. And it's a lot of mystery, so I don't want to get too into it. This is another one where it's like I can't explain too much because like it becomes a lot about the interplay of the mysteries and the character development, and the relationship between these kids and this pair that are searching through the wasteland, the quote unquote wasteland, or whatever. And it is really, really satisfying. It's written in an incredibly confident way. The characters are fantastic. The world is a post-apocalyptic world, but not that kind that is like overly nihilistic and cruel. It has both heartwarming and kind of that cruel edge to it in a way that feels very honest, in a way that I feel like post-apocalyptic worlds sometimes aren't, and suffer for it.
All right. That sounds pretty cool. I'm into that. I'd watch that.
It's called Heavenly Delusion in English, I guess. I'd actually never heard the English name for that, but very, very cool. I think I'd absolutely give that a shot. And
all right, will do.
The final one that I can see on this list. Now, this one I'm a little less confident about, but I like maybe a little more on the guilty pleasure side, especially after all the shit I talked about isekais. The Dead Mount Death Play, one of the worst names in manga, but check this shit out. What if I told you that there was a necromancer?
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Into
what
it.
What if I told you that he became, like, extremely powerful, and the kingdom had to send out crazy, like, magic knights to kill this necromancer, right?
All right.
Okay.
I'm following along.
All right. And in the last seconds before he dies, he basically, like, sends out a crazy curse. The necromancer curse.
All right.
All right. Now, smash cut to 12-year-old boy walking down the street. A wild-eyed teenage girl appears behind him and does the nothing personnel kid to him, slitting his throat. Really, in a really violent way. Like, inappropriately violent. Blood spray kind of way. But guess what?
As opposed to the polite ways to slit someone's throat?
Well, sometimes it just, like, is like a cut and they fall to the ground and die. But this is like a very violent death. But what if I told you he doesn't die? In fact, when he opens his eyes, he's the necromancer.
You okay?
Whoa. He's that necromancer. Now he's in our world, and he's in the body of this dead kid. Isn't that crazy?
More isekai stuff. Okay, you're losing me.
Reverse isekai.
It's been done.
It's, I realize this is a harder sell. What if I told you he's called the Corpse God? Does that do anything?
That does a little bit for me. I like that.
It's kind of death metal in that way.
Yeah, okay.
What if I told you that he, like, immediately, like, murders this girl by sending, like, 12 feet long, skeleton arms directly through her torso?
I'd say call up Tarantino.
And then immediately resurrects her to be his, like, dead slave.
I don't know. To me, from an outsider perspective, that seems like a little bit of a we're going into try-hard territory.
I'm willing to admit it. It definitely kind of strays into that territory sometimes. I'm very much enjoying the manga, even though it's stalled out a little bit right now. The danger of running too long, you know. But that's Dead Mount Death Play. It's probably, you know, who knows. This is one of those things where it could be like absolute disaster on the animation level because it's an isekai, you know. But like I've been really enjoying the world that they've set up, and I love necromancers. I'm a sucker for necromancers, man.
You do love those necro boys.
I love necros. I'm just all about necromancers. Since Diablo 2, I have been a necromancer guy, full on, no regrets.
All right, well, that is what's coming up in the spring season that you're excited about.
Wow.
You got some stuff to keep an eye on there. I think we're gonna be coming out of a long and lonely winter.
We're gonna watch. We're gonna watch some anime. Isn't that crazy?
I'm gonna go read some anime. I may watch some manga while I'm at it.
I think for the first time in a little bit, I'm gonna be watching some anime. That's crazy, man. They got me. They got me back in. Wow.
Suck you back in.
April season, baby. Anime. Let's fucking do this shit. Anime gang. Let's do it. Oh, boy.
Okay, right. You've had enough, sir.
All right. Thanks for joining us, best friend. I'm so glad you came and hung out with us. I think this was a really
It's
good
always
time.
Good.
I really appreciate your input, best friend. You had
love hearing your voice.
Yeah, a lot of really interesting things to say about the things we were saying. I think that's always great. maybe next time we'll actually talk about watching an anime. What do you think about that? You think we'll maybe watch an anime between here and now?
I think we'll watch some anime. I definitely want to get into. I need to catch up on those Fooly Cooly sequels that came out a few years ago. That's been a tender spot for me, and I think it's finally time to confront it. So that's what I plan on watching in the meantime.
Okay, all right. Well, look forward to that. We maybe will watch the Fooly Cooly anime and maybe talk about it. Talk about some anime.
Until next time, dear
all
listener.
Right. Bye.
Bye.
At some point, we'll write an outro. There's got to be something.